Hi, Team Persevere. Today's reading lesson is all about answering questions about reading. Why is this skill so important? Pause the video to discuss. Answering comprehension questions as we read is sometimes very tricky. Some of the questions can be really complex and hard to understand, and we are going to provide you with some tools. If you ever get stuck on a question, read that question more than once. That will help you to understand what the question is asking. Read all of the answer choices. Even if the first one or two makes sense, don't go with that first one that could kind of be the answer. Make sure you read all of them first to pick the best answer. Skim the text for keywords. If there is a keyword such as an individual's name in the question, you can go back to the text and skim to find that individual's name, as the answer will probably be near that area. And check for proof. Always push yourself to go back into the text to find that answer and prove that it's true. We are going to work on these skills today, and I have a very special passage for you. It is an article from a site called Newsela that many of you have used in reading. And it caught my eye because when I saw the picture, it is quite a silly picture of a little friend. It is titled, "Someone is Gluing Cowboy Hats to Pigeons in Las Vegas." And when we first look at this picture, it's hard not to smile as these pigeons look so cute with the little hats. However, we're going to learn more about kind of what's going on here and how it might actually be concerning. As I read, I would like you to follow along on the page. We will be answering 4 comprehension questions at the end. Bobby Lee saw a few pigeons walking around. Pigeons are birds. These were not regular pigeons. They were wearing little cowboy hats. Mr. Lee was in Las Vegas, Nevada. It was the week of December 2nd, 2019. One bird he saw had a red hat. Another bird wore a gray one. Mr. Lee put a video of the birds online. Many people watched the video. People want to know who did this. Mr. Lee threw some Doritos at the birds. He wanted them to come closer. The birds got scared though. They flew off. Still, Mr. Lee's video of the birds excited people. It got many shares and views on the internet. Mariah Hillman works for a group that helps pigeons. It's called Lofty Hopes. It is in Las Vegas. She and her daughter looked for the pigeons with hats. They walked around where the birds were seen. They asked people to call them if they saw the birds. Right now, we have read the first few paragraphs, and as we're reading, it's really important that we pause to summarize what we read so far. So at this time, I would like you to do that. Pause the video to summarize what we've learned so far. The next heading is titled Expert Says Birds Will Be Fine. Glue was used to keep the hats on. This worried Miss Hillman. She thought it might hurt the birds. She found one with a red hat. Another bird had a pink hat. Miss Hillman put out traps to catch the birds. Some were still loose. Miss Hillman saw one bird shaking his head. He was trying to get the hat off, she said. Charles Walcott is a scientist at Cornell University. It is in Ithaca, New York. He studies pigeons. Mr. Walcott said he thinks the birds will be fine. He said he liked the video. He thought the birds were cute. In the last heading, who is doing the gluing? The hats do not look like they are hurting the birds, he said. He thinks that whoever did this did it carefully. He said the hats look like they are not heavy. They also do not cover the birds' eyes. They look like happy pigeons to me, he said. It is hard to know because they will not talk to us, he said. Still, no one knows who put the hats on the birds. Miss Hillman said she hopes that whoever is doing this will stop. She thinks humans need to leave animals alone. It's their life. They have the right to live free from harm, she said. So, in conclusion, with what we just read, at first, these birds made us giggle because these hats look so funny on top of their heads. But as we dove into the topic a little more, we realized that there are some concerns about the health and safety of these pigeons with the hats on. Now we are going to move to the comprehension questions and use some of those skills we learned before. The first question for us: what detail in the article shows how the hats stay on the birds' heads? A, they were wearing little cowboy hats. B, glue was used to keep the hats on. C, he was trying to get the hat off, she said. Or D, still no one knows who put the hats on the birds. Pause the video to discuss this answer. The correct answer for what detail in the article shows how the hats stay on the birds, the correct answer is B, glue was used to keep the hats on. That clearly answers how the hats are on the birds, where these other choices are stating different parts about hats and not specifically how they stay on the birds. Question 2. Which sentence from the introduction, paragraphs 1 through 4, explains why many people know about the pigeons? So, why do people know about the pigeons? And it's telling us that we need to look at paragraphs 1 through 4. Before we go to that, I just want to get an idea of what the answer choices are. A, these were not regular pigeons. B, Mr. Lee put a video of the birds online. C, Mariah Hillman works for a group that helps pigeons. And D, they asked people to call them if they saw birds. You know, Team Persevere, when I read this through just one time, I thought I knew the answer, but it's still really important to go back. So before I give that answer though, I'd like you to pause and see what you think the answer might be. And here are paragraphs 1 through 4. Pause the video to discuss. So as I read this question through, my mind instantly went to the correct answer of B. Mr. Lee put a video of the birds online. But I just wanted to go back to make sure that was in fact talked about. And when I did, I found right here in the second paragraph, Mr. Lee put a video of the birds online. That shows that this is how many people watched the video and wanted to know who did this. Question 3, why did Miss Hillman look for the birds? A, she thought the birds were not happy. B, she wanted to take pictures of the birds. C, she was worried the birds might be hurt. Or D, she wanted to see if the birds could fly. I'm going to give you a hint, and just to make sure we know we can find the answer in the text, I'm going to be looking for this key word, her name, Miss Hillman. So I am going, and I see right here information about Miss Hillman. So at this time, pause the video to find the best answer choice. Why did Miss Hillman look for the birds? The correct answer is C. She was worried the birds might be hurt. And she was worried about this because it talks about how She actually has her own organization called Lofty Hopes that her and her daughter started, and it's to make sure that pigeons stay safe. It helps pigeons. And it also says here that since glue was used to keep hats on, this worried Miss Hillman because she thought it might hurt the birds. So that she thought it might hurt the birds connects directly to the answer choice C. She was worried the birds might be hurt. And question 4, our last one. Why did Charles Walcott like the video? Miss Hillman. Oops. Why did Charles Walcott like the video? I think this second part is an error. The question is just, why did Charles Walcott like the video? And I'm going to look for Charles Walcott in this text to help me find the answer. I skimmed the text and I just found his name right here. So I would reread this paragraph to help me find this answer. Pause the video. For question 4 here, the correct answer is D, because he thought the birds were cute. And I know that because I can look at my paragraph here, and it talks about how Mr. Walcott knows the birds will be fine. Then it goes into saying he liked the video. He thought the birds were cute. So for this question, I could find my answer back in the text. I hope that you enjoyed this story on the pigeons and their little cowboy hats. And if you have any questions on any comprehension that you're doing in class, make sure to go back to reread the questions and try and skim the text for the topic. And this is a skill that takes practice, and we will continue to work on this throughout the year. Thanks, Team Persevere.